So before this COVID, actually much before, over a year ago, I was looking at some reports concerning the semi-annual risk perspective from the Office of the Comptroller Currency, and it was either for 2013 or 2014. There was a substantial section discussing how a large percentage of mortgages were going to be leaving the period during which they were paying on interest, and instead were going to be transitioning to paying on principal. And there was a chart, and I remember seeing the chart and not really understanding a lot about mortgages per se because I've never had one myself, but noticing something very, very dramatic. And then when I later got information about these loans that were coming due for the gas and oil sector starting right about this year, I was like, is there some sort of connection between things like the changes in rates of amortization on real property available for evaluation by pension systems, like what they just did in Texas, and the changes on payments of interest as opposed to principal, or payments on principal as opposed to interest that was coming up for a large proportion of mortgages? And these were previously reflected in the reports for the Office of Comptroller Currency. I still have them, unless somebody stole my evidence that I have on backup. I'm pretty sure I still have them. But right now, on the website for the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, in that division that discusses the semi-annual risk perspective, there's no acknowledgement of that. The chart's gone. And the information on the changes to mortgages regarding paying on interest versus paying on principal, that's not in any of the reports that I've seen. I went through all of them. There's no mention of it. There's a completely different characterization now of those reports. It's like when they were doing that thing starting a couple months ago where they were backdating stocks. They rewrote reports that were already on the public record about the history of the financial system in the last 10 years. That's I've seen it in one manner or another. I've experienced it with my own tracking. That's literally what's going on. It's 3:03 a.m. on July 26, 2020. Again, it's like, in some ways it's like the pit. I'm like in the trenches of the financial system. And in the trenches of the financial system, there was what they did last weekend. There was what they did the weekend before. Every weekend, it's like I'm like wafting through the sewage of the financial system. And the reason it's sewage is because they keep trashing their own people. It was between the specific years. There was a chart. I remember seeing it. It had a very specific kind of metrics, and it was discussing that starting in 2017, 2016, 2017, 2018 specifically were years where there were going to be a substantial percentage of mortgages that were going to be transforming from having paid on interest into going closer into paying purely on principal as a way to get to what we all hope, I guess what everybody hopes when they have a mortgage. That information's not there anymore. They've got a different kind of risk calibration that they wrote ex post facto. That's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's fraud. And you're going to get busted big time. Very, very shortly. Very soon. Very soon.